Good evening. Columbia Police descended on a 5 Points hemp store this January, seizing products and making allegations staff were unlicensed in selling illegal cannabis products.
A WIS investigation has found that the law around hemp is hazy. Our chief investigative reporter, Chris Joseph, pressed the Columbia Police Department for answers about how the agency is enforcing the rules.
So what are those rules? Where do things stand now, Chris?
Well, Dondi, the first thing to know is that both hemp and marijuana come from the cannabis plant. Now, state law says some cannabis is legal, some cannabis is not. That gray area is leaving the hemp store, Crowntown Cannabis, with an uncertain future.
Columbia police officers and SLED agents streamed into Crowntown Cannabis this January, seizing up to 20 pounds of green plant-like material believed to be marijuana, and taking the store's manager in handcuffs.
I can only compare it to if you were sitting watching your house being broken into or your family being violated in real time and feeling completely helpless.
Michael Sims co-owns the store with Dan Henschke.
Why you guys? What happened?
Ultimately,
I still think it's from cannabis on the windows.
CPD says it got a tip the store was selling marijuana. The department sent in an undercover agent and alleges manager Connie Jackson sold green plant-like material, presenting it as unprocessed hemp and marijuana. The law requires a license for unprocessed hemp, something CPD says Jackson didn't have. Marijuana remains illegal.
To be clear, it wasn't marijuana?
No, sir.
No, never.
CPD claims some of it did test positive for marijuana, but didn't release the results or methods. The co-owners say they're aware of the results, but doubt the testing process. CPD's spokesperson says some products also tested positive for hemp. The law around hemp leaf and whether Jackson or anyone in the store needed a license is open to interpretation.
Hemp is legal, but it has to fall under the federal limit for THC. THC is the compound that gets you high. State law says that hemp has to be processed, and that only involves turning the hemp into a marketable form.
A 2019 opinion letter from the Attorney General's office says putting hemp leaf in a package doesn't cut it. But that opinion isn't the law.
I want someone to explain to me how you can get something growing from a plant, dried, trimmed, and packaged, or put into a smokable form in a joint without describing a process.
Defense attorney Seth Rose represents Jackson. He's also a state representative at the General Assembly.
Does anyone out there think that hemp flower is a major issue facing our community? Hemp flower. Hemp is legal. It's processed down into a flower.
We asked Columbia Police to explain its views on processing hemp, but a spokesperson said the department simply follows the law. So we tried again.
I'm Chris Joseph with WIS. Want to see if Chief Holbrook is here. Hoping for some information related to your hemp policy, how y'all delineate processed from unprocessed hemp.
I'll call the secretary to find out, okay?
That's all I would ask. Thank you, ma'am.
The chief wasn't available and later declined to go on record. Meanwhile, the city's business license office threatened to withhold the store's license, saying there's been unlawful activity, convicting the store before the cases are decided.
Well, who's been charged and who's been found guilty of anything illegal here? No one. So, I mean, you're telling me that I can't renew my business license due to what?
We sat down with business license administrator Kelly Smith in her lobby, with a city attorney in the background.
Why say unlawful activity if there have been no convictions?
Well, I run the business license division, so my team is behind me, as you can see. I don't run CPD, so whatever investigations they have going on, I don't want to interfere with that.
So CPD told you there was unlawful activity?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Had CPD provided you any documentation showing there had been convictions?
I can't answer that.
Well, there have been no convictions, so the answer is no. So again, where does the business license office find the authority to shut down a business if they can't prove unlawful activity has happened?
So unlawful activity in my ordinance is based on information that I receive, and it's a judgment call that I can make based on that information.
So you made that call. So why make that call?
Because of the information that I received from CPD.
Smith didn't elaborate, but CPD says it provided her information about the seizure. The city later provided the business license on several conditions, including the removal of cannabis signage.
Why was it important to change the signage?
It was mutually discussed.
Why was it important to change the signage?
It was mutually discussed.
But the co-owners say their business has already taken a hit from the lost product, slashing their profits and forcing customers elsewhere.
We're at a complete competitive disadvantage. They come in here, they ask for it, they leave because we're not allowed to carry it.
Not everyone is following the same rules.
I bought this green plant-like material in a store in downtown Columbia. At a second store, I bought this joint filled with hemp leaf. At all the other stores I visited, they told me they couldn't sell those products.
I say to the Attorney General and everybody else watching, if this is such a serious issue and you want this to be the law, then make it a law and not an opinion letter. And very clearly state what is allowed and what isn't.
An industry facing the consequences of a state law, which leaves too much to interpretation.
Now, I've submitted freedom of information requests with the Columbia Police Department and SLED, in addition to the City of Columbia, for more information about hemp policies and what has happened in this situation.